Welcome back to my channel for the April Human Design Transit Report Part 2. There was so much going on this month that I broke this into 2 parts. So if you haven't seen the first part yet, I would highly recommend that you go and check it out because it'll go over the major themes that we have going on for the month. And then this video, we're going to go kind of step by step through each of the different transits that we're in this month. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I want to invite you to come to Activate Your Higher Purpose immersive workshop that's happening on April 13th. It's a Saturday. It's from 9 to 12 Pacific time, so it should work for people in North America and in Europe. And I'm sorry to my friends down under. I have one person who already registered who said she's going to watch the replay, so you can watch the replay later if you still want to come if you're in the Eastern Hemisphere. And it's an opportunity for us to dive into some of the key areas of your human design that can give you clues and insights into a deep sense of purpose that you have for yourself. There isn't just one. I know sometimes people teach human design that way, but there isn't just one aspect of your chart that can contribute to your sense of purpose. So we're going to look at 3 different ones. There's actually more than that, but we'll only have time for that many, and I don't want to overwhelm you with too much just information, right? Because this is immersive and it's experiential. So we're going to look at those 3 key aspects of your human design system. I'll show you how to do that. I'll be giving you handouts and images and things to work with. And then in addition to that, we're going to do some energy practices that help you to clear the way so that you can really connect with your inner guidance. Because your inner being is very clear about what it makes it excited, what makes it feel like it's enjoying life, like it's engaged. And that's the feeling of being on purpose that you're looking for. But unfortunately, a lot of our conditioning and ways we've been taught about things get in our way. How we've been told we should do this or we shouldn't do that, or we should do this to make money, or, you're a loser if you go in that direction, or why can't you get a real job, or whatever it is, like all of those forces that come on us. So we're going to be clearing out all of that noise and interference so that you can get really connected on the inside. And then we're going to do a light body meditation. So I am a qualified Awakening Your Light Body teacher, and this is something that is coming back into my life really strong now, which is working with light beings to enable us to really evolve ourselves at an accelerated rate and in a graceful way. So we're going to do this meditation, and it's going to give you an incredible boost to be able to receive this felt sense and this inner knowing about your higher purpose. And when you have this sense of higher purpose, and when you have a way that you can return to again and again when you lose it, so that you can reactivate it and get more engaged with it, it changes your whole life. Because life is complicated, and life is getting really complex, and it's getting difficult in many, many different ways. And a lot of this isn't personal, sometimes it's felt personally, sometimes we have challenges in our personal lives, but we also have a lot of things that are going on for humanity and for our beautiful world. And so developing that sense of purpose gives you energy to engage with life, and it gives you a deep sense of satisfaction, not necessarily because you fix everything or you're the hero or anything like that. It's more about the sense of being really well used, that what you're here for, what are your skills and talents and gifts, that they're well used in the world, that you're getting to express yourself. That will give you a very different experience of life, perhaps than the one that you've had, or maybe the one that you're having just right now. So I encourage you to come and join us on April 13th. It's only $47. I tried to make it as accessible financially as possible. And if you are in a country outside of North America or outside of Western Europe, and you really want to come, and you're like, yeah, $47 is like way too much for me, will you please email me at admin@ostaraexperience.com and tell me about your situation, because I would like to make this accessible to you. You just need to email me and let me know what your situation is and why you think having a scholarship to this would be beneficial for you. And so, like I said, this is for people who are outside of North America and outside of Western Europe. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into the new transit that starts today. As we dive into the 5 transits that are been happening during the month of April, the first one starts today on April 4th. This is a reminder, if you did happen to see the part 1, that we have the Spleen Center really highlighted by the Earth gates during this month. We're going to be diving into 5 different gates that are being lit up on the Spleen Center, and each one of them has a fear associated with it because, as a reminder, the Spleen Center is the center for instinct and intuition, the immune system, and right timing. And because it is instinctual, we can have our fears activated. Because fear is an instinct, and it's an instinct that's designed to keep us alive. And so fear has a very important role to play for us when we have real and present danger. But unfortunately, we often can have fear when there is no real and present danger. We're either mining our experience from the past, and we're kind of pulling it forward into the future and even projecting it out into what might happen. Okay, that is a pretty common thing that happens for people. But we want to unravel that. We don't want to be living as if there were real and present danger when there really isn't. And so we're going to be unpacking these fears of the Spleen Center as we go through these next transits. So today on April 4th, the sun moves into the gate 51 and the earth moves into the gate 57. And we will dig into these different gates individually. I want to just point out here something that I went over in part 1, which is that the gate 51 is really being lit up. So the North Node has been in the gate 51 for a while now, and it's going to continue there through May 11th. Okay. Then during this transit that's starting today, going for the next few days, the sun is also lighting up the gate 51. And so we've got a lot of energy going on that gate 51. And then during this particular week, we also have Venus is lighting up the gate 25, which is why we have that whole 5125 channel lit up. And then on April 10th, Neptune is going to move into the gate 25, and it's going to be there for a while because Neptune hangs out in gates for quite a while. So we're going to have that channel 2551, the channel of the priest, priestess, or shaman, or the channel of initiation in quantum human design, is going to be lit up for the next 5 weeks or so. This is a great time to be leaning into that energy of the channel that connects the 2 different human design centers that make up the heart chakra. And so we want to be elevating ourselves into higher consciousness based in our love of spirit. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the specifics. So the gate 51 is on the will center, and it's in the centering circuit. So it's part of individual circuitry. And the gate 51 is known in traditional human design as the gate of shock and as initiation in quantum human design. So I have this gate defined in my chart. I know it well. I have to say, when I was younger and I didn't know any better, I think I would shock people without realizing it. I tend to be a pretty direct person, say what I think. I have learned to wait for right timing. I've gotten much better at that as I've gotten older. But I did used to do it without really realizing I was doing it. But when you have this energy defined in your chart, and we're all going to have it defined during this transit, it has kind of like a force of its own. So you want to be looking out while the sun is lighting this up, to pausing before you say things, to make sure that the person that you want to say something to, or the situation that you want to speak into, it's the right time, it's the right people, it's the right situation. Because If it's not, that energy of the 51 can come across really strong. And you want it to be received in such a way that it can help disrupt patterns. It can break up common ways of thinking, common conditioning that isn't necessarily beneficial for us, and then opens up the way to be initiated into higher consciousness, because that 51 is coming off that will center, right? 51's coming off the will center. The 25 is on the G center, so they're making that whole channel. And that 25 is this beautiful love of spirit, or just spirit. So we want the energy of that 51 to be very much harmonious and in alignment with that 25, which is spirit. So when we do that, then we elevate the quality of that gate 51. You just do want to watch out also, both for yourself and for the people around you, because remember, when we have a transit, everybody's being influenced by the sun energy. And so, especially for the people who don't have the 51 defined in their chart, all of a sudden the sun's going to be lighting it up, and they may just find they have shocking things coming out of their mouths without intending to be so. So see if you can be compassionate with people if you're experiencing that. Then the earth is lighting up the gate 57. So the 57 is on the Spleen Center, and it's the center for intuition and instinct. It is known in traditional human design as the most intuitive gate in the chart. I'm not quite sure what I think about that, just because there's so much intuition in the chart in so many different places. But that is what they say in traditional human design. And its fear is the fear of the future. So we want to be aware of that as we are moving in through this transit. If you start to feel the fear of the future get activated in you, really take a look at that and go, okay, am I in any real or present danger, in the future that's coming to me soon? Because if it's not, then you want to just step through that fear. Okay, because the 57 can definitely go that way. It has a little bit to do with, picking up on intuitive hits, but not necessarily knowing exactly how to interpret them or what they mean for you, especially for those of us who haven't spent more time cultivating our relationship with our intuition. And so then all of a sudden this kind of intuitive energy comes in, and we can start to have perceptions about the future, and we can fall into fear in that situation. So you want to watch out for that. You don't want to fall into the really disempowered aspect where you're have a lot of fear of the future. You also don't want to fall into the shadow where you're using the fear of the future to control or manipulate situations so that you can feel more safe or secure. Now, a lot of times people do this and it's very unconscious. You're not necessarily sitting there and planning it that way or working it out that way, but it is one of the things that can happen. So you want to make sure to look out for that for yourself and also for the people around you. And when you do that, it can free you to really open up the intuition that's available for you in this gate 57. So we want to be grounding ourselves in a deep state of connection to our inner being, which is where intuition comes from, so that when we are shining our light and we are expressing out into the world, and we're doing that through the gate 51, we're doing it with that energy of initiation, that energy of, coming together with spirit to support ourselves in our own evolutionary process. And if you stay focused on that, you're going to do just fine during this transit. I do want to note that we do have a major eclipse that is happening here on the 8th, and it is visible in a variety of different places. And I'm going to actually encourage you to go and watch this video from Pam Gregory about eclipses. She is an extraordinary astrologer, and she's got deep understanding about the eclipses. And I think if you want to find out more about that, it would be really good for you to go and check her out. That she understands it in ways that are different than I would understand it from a human design point of view. And so I want to just, bow to my sister astrologer here and encourage you to go and check it out if you're interested in the eclipses. On Wednesday, April 10th, the sun is going to move into the gate 42 and the earth is going to move into the gate 32. And you can see that 2551 is still lit up. We're going to have that channel lit up, and that means we're also going to have a G center lit up and a will center lit up. So if you have either of those two centers are normally open on you during this transit, you're also going to have those two centers lit up. So for me, the big news is that my will center is lit up, because I think it's 7 out of 8 of us have an open will center. Far more of us have a defined G. So you want to take a look at that for yourself, because during this transit of the 2551, you will get that defined G center if you don't already have it. And that could be a really great time to be exploring your relationship with your identity and your direction in life, as well as taking a look at your love and lovability. So the sun moves into the gate 42, which in traditional human design is the gate of finishing things, and in quantum human design is conclusion. Very similar energies expressed in traditional and quantum human design. It's the idea that these things are getting finished and they're coming to conclusion and they're done. So this is a really great transit for you to break out of any procrastination that you have about finishing things up. Right? And so take a look at your to-do list, or take a look at the different projects that you've had around, if there are things that you can complete during the next 5 days or so, because you're going to have so much energy to get things finished and completed. And incompletions are actually really draining. There's always kind of this part of you that's like, when am I going to get back to that? When am I going to do that? When am I going to get this done? I have more incompletions than I really like to have in my life right now. So I'm going to be taking a look at some of these and really wanting to get some things taken care of. And it's such a relief to the nervous system when you actually complete things. In even complete it like saying, or concluding it without completing it, where you're like, you know what, I'm not going to complete that. I'm not going to finish that. I'm just going to say it's concluded and I'm done. Because you can close the door on something also, even if you haven't finished it. So you can make that kind of discernment as well. Now, 42 is resting on the earth in gate 32. So 32 is on the Spleen Center, and the Spleen Center, as we said, it's been being lit up, and this is in the tribal circuit, and the 32 is known as continuity in traditional human design, or endurance in quantum human design. And the reason for this is that it has to do with having a really great business idea, a really great idea for commerce. It's in the commerce or the business circuit of, or the community circuit. There's a variety of different ways that this gets named inside of the tribal circuit. So it's the one where we're more out in the world with other people and we're engaging with other people, and it is about relationship to a degree. But you can see it's all the way down here on the Spleen Center. It's far away from the throat. The throat is the center for manifestation. And so it's not about manifesting that energy right here. It's about holding on to it and nurturing it and cultivating it and allowing it to grow, letting it gestate, maybe giving it some energy here and there, but really just kind of holding on to it. And the fear is that somebody's going to come and steal it from you. So you want to have a reality check with yourself and be like, okay, is there real and present danger that somebody's going to come and steal my business idea? Because, hey, if there is, yeah, you do want to pay attention to that. But a lot of times we can get these kind of free-floating fears that there's no real reason if we take a look around. No, my best suggestion is to try to ground yourself in a sense of all is well, right? All is well. I've got my ideas. I'm holding on to my ideas. I am nurturing them and cultivating them, and to hold them as close as you need to, and not worry about somebody else taking your idea if that comes up for you. On Tuesday, April 16th, the sun is going to move into the gate 3 and the earth is going to move into the gate 50. So the sun in the gate 3 is known as ordering in traditional human design and innovation in quantum human design. It's all the way at the bottom of the sacral center, and it's in the knowing circuit, so it's individual circuitry. And it is the place where the energy from the knowing circuit has come in and split, gone around the two sides of the body, and it starts to come back up through the central channel. And it is the energy for saying, okay, we're going to receive from the gate 60 the energies that are coming through the knowing circuit, and the gate 60, which is its mate on the root center, has already sorted through what's of value moving forward. That's the role of the gate 60, is to be like, okay, what's of value? All the different things, all the different downloads, epiphanies, insights, potentials, and so on that's come in through that knowing circuit. What's really going to be of value? And so the 60 has decided that, and it's moved it on to the gate 3. And then the 3 is going to innovate with it. Now, it's also known as difficulty in the beginning, which is the I Ching. And it makes sense because innovation, can be difficult at the beginning, right? I mean, you're trying to innovate and do something new with something that already exists, because that's what innovation is it's not creating something completely new out of thin air, right? It's about innovating something that already exists. And so while the sun is lighting this up, you can be taking a look at what are the innovations that I have been putting off. Hopefully with the last transit, you would have finished some things up, decided, that there are certain things that maybe, okay, I'm complete on that. It may not have ever gotten to completely finished, but I'm done with it. I'm done. So you've cleared that off. And so you might have a little more space. And now you're like, okay, now what am I going to innovate? So this can be really fun and exciting and, take some stress off of it. Don't make it have a lot of work to do, like it's going to make you money or it's going to be a huge, contribution to humanity. I mean, it may be those things, but just take the weight off of it and have fun innovating. The 3 is resting on the Earth in the gate 50. So the gate 50, again, on the Spleen Center. You can see we're romping through the Spleen Center here. And it is the gate of values in traditional human design and the gate of nurturing in quantum human design. So this is part of the tribal circuit, but it's not part of that commerce or community circuit. It's actually part of the defense circuit or the sustainability circuit, which I really think of as like the family circuit, because those two channels, the 5027 and the 59-6 that go from the sacral out to the spleen center on one side and the emotional solar plexus on the other, okay? That those really have to do with our close-in relationships. They have to do with our family, whether those are siblings, parents, kids, cousins, people close in, or chosen family, like our good friends, the people who, are meaningful for us in our lives, but there are close-in relationships. And the 50 is this beautiful energy. It's a teaching energy. It is a nurturing energy, and it is an energy about values in the sense that it helps us to understand who we are as a people. What are the standards of behavior by which we live? What are the things that we agree to and we don't agree to that are kind of tribal, right? Like in our family, for example, we say a blessing that my kid learned in Waldorf school when they were in kindergarten. They're now 22. But there's a song that we learned back when Sam was in kindergarten, and we still sing it every night before we have dinner. We call it our blessing. And my kid is as dedicated to it as I am. And this is part of how we know who we are as a people, is that we have this ritual. It is a song that is giving gratitude to Mother Earth and Father Sky, and is just really saying thank you for all of the blessings and all of the abundance that we receive that comes from the garden. And so that's just a super simple example, but I think it is something that goes along with other values that I have wanted to pass on to my kid. So that's part of this energy of the 50. Now the 50, like all the spleen gates, also has a fear. And the fear of the gate 50 is the fear of letting people down. So you can imagine, right, in your family, how we get really connected and we know ourselves to be part of a tribe. We know ourselves to be part of some kind of family. And of course, in tribal circuitry, we say what's good for the community is priority. Okay. And so sometimes if we're like, yeah, but me as an individual, I want something different, or I want to do something different, or I don't necessarily want to do the things that the rest of the family want to do, or whatever it is, or even I have a belief that goes in a different direction than the one I was brought up with or the one that my family still holds, right? And you want to do something different. You want to believe something different. You know, this happens with politics sometimes with family. It happens with food, happens with culture, right? Where you, in the next generation, people have different ideas. The world is different. And so then we're like, yeah, you know, and I don't really kind of align with all those values like I once did. But the fear of that can be the fear of letting people down. It's like, oh, you know, I'm going to go off in a different direction. Will they still love me? Right? You know, or if I choose not to participate in this thing that I've always participated in, you know, I'm not going to go to that 4th of July weekend again because X, Y, or Z, you know, whatever it is. And then the fear of letting people down. And this can really get in the way for people when they have a lot of individual circuitry, or here we have individual circuitry lit up by the sun in the gate 3. So you might feel a little bit of conflict between what the 50 is asking you to focus on for the tribe and what the 3 is asking you to focus on, which is for the evolution of you as an individual and also for the evolution of humanity. So take a look at if you're starting to feel any kind of creative tension between these two gates that are being lit up by the sun and the earth during this time, and do your best just to honor the value and the blessing that both of them have to give, and expand it to be the space for both of them to provide what they have to provide, and not try to make them either completely like each other, because they're not and they won't ever be, or to say one is right, more right than the other, because that's not really true either. The best we can do when we have this kind of creative tension is really learn how to dance with it, right? Learn how to dance with it. Just refuse to polarize and refuse to judge and say one is right and one is wrong. Just be like, how can I expand to be the space for all of it? On Monday, April 22nd, the sun is going to move into the gate 27 and the earth is going to move into the gate 28. And the gate 27 is the mate of the gate 50. So we're going from the 50 being lit up, right, by the earth to the sun lighting up the gate 27, which is its mate. So there's a kind of continuity that's happening here. So let's go ahead and dig into the gate 27. So the 27 is on the sacral center, and so it's the center for life force energy. It is in that same sustainability circuit in quantum human design, or defense circuit in traditional human design. So it's that kind of close-in, familial kind of energy. And the 27 is known as responsibility in traditional human design, or accountability in quantum human design. And we colloquially call this the mother or grandmother gate, because it is a beautiful, nurturing, caretaking kind of energy. This is that life force energy that we have for taking care of children, taking care of the elderly, taking care of those who are ill. And the reason it's been renamed accountability in quantum human design is that it can become codependent. It can be overgiving. You can sacrifice yourself to the point where you're not doing well because you're giving so much to others. Those of you who are mothers out there, know what I'm talking about. I certainly have had this at times during the course of my life as a mom. And so we want to make sure that even as we're caregivers and even as we're nurturing and, being loving to people who maybe don't have as much energy or aren't as able as we are for whatever reason that is, we don't want to do that into a way where we are harming ourselves. Right. And we don't want to make other people more important than we are. We don't want to subordinate our own needs and our own desires out of a desire to serve. There's often a negotiation, right? There's a negotiation, there's a discernment, there are choices to be made. But when we habitually decide that other people are more important than we are to the point where it's detrimental for us, that has to change. That is not healthy. It's not a healthy way to be. But the 27 can kind of be co-opted by narcissistic energies. So watch out for this if, during this transit for sure, but also if that is defined in your chart. If you notice that you have attracted narcissists into your life, if you've gotten into a situation where your role has been to really just like take care of them and do whatever it is that they say that they need, right? Watch out for that because it can be very insidious. But in its higher expression, it's so beautiful. As long as you remember to put your oxygen mask on first before you do it for others, as long as you're making sure that you're still taking care of yourself and you're resting when you need to, you're getting time alone when you need to, you're having fun and joy when you need to, then this energy of the 27 is really beautiful. So the 27, the sun in the 27 is resting on the earth in the gate 28. So the 28, again, on the Spleen Center, and it is in the knowing circuit, so it's individual circuitry. And the 27, like the 51, which is also being highlighted during this time, is known as a little bit as a gnarly gate. Okay, that's how it gets called. It's the gate of struggle. It's part of the channel of struggle in traditional human design. And it's been renamed challenge in quantum human design. I even like to call it adventure. The 28, I have this defined in my chart, and I've done a lot of dance with it. The fear of the 28 is the fear that life is meaningless. It's very existential, like, oh, why am I here? Everything's so hard. I'm struggling so much. It can be victim consciousness. So you got to watch out for victim consciousness getting stimulated during this transit, because it can be if you're not aware. All of a sudden you start being like, oh my God, I can't believe prices, and I can't believe, this person is acting that way, and I can't believe I can't get this thing, or like whatever it is, right? So you want to watch out for that, because remember, you are not a victim. Right? You are not a victim. The 28 is an adventurer on the leading edge of consciousness. The 28 is the one that is pushing the envelope. Okay. And so if you can switch out of feeling like so many things are coming at you to being like, what's coming at me? What do I have to dive into? What is it that I get to explore and experiment with and learn and grow through? Right? If you can switch it into that, because inside of every challenge is a growth opportunity, right? It's a growth opportunity, even if it's an opportunity not to react when somebody's being an asshole. You know what I mean? It's like, that's an opportunity too. Yes, this person is acting out in a way that is really not okay with you for some reason, right? That is happening, but the growth opportunity could be to set a boundary. Right? It could, especially if the sun's in the 27, you need to set a boundary. Or it could just be like, I am not going to react in this situation. I'm going to observe, I'm going to witness, and I'm not going to let it get to me. So there's always an opportunity to have an empowered attitude, no matter what's going on around you. It can be, if something happens, you can take the hit of that for a little bit, like, really? Like, that really just happened? Or really, that didn't just happen? Whoa. And so then you might need to have a little time to process the fact of what just happened or didn't happen. But it doesn't mean that you're going to stay in it and it's going to drag you down. You're going to go into that downward spiral, right? Be like, no, I'm not going into a downward spiral. I'm going to choose a different path, and I'm going to look for where is the leading edge, breakthrough, opportunity that maybe I've never gotten to experience before because I wasn't ready for it, but now I am. See, and that's the kind of energy of the 28 and the energy of the knowing circuit. When you kind of grab a hold of it and say, you know what, I'm going to use this for my good. I am not going to let this drag me down. And you can declare it. You can decide it. You can declare it. And when you ground yourself in that, right, you can become very powerful looking at what's going on outside you in the world. And as you do that, then you can shine out your light into caring and loving and being compassionate for the people in your life, but not doing it from a victim state. Now, you can see here in this interplay between the 27 and the 28, if you're overcaring and you're overgiving, or if you're taking care of a narcissist and you're not really exactly clear about what that's all about, right? You could fall into feeling like life is a struggle. You could fall into feeling like a victim. So you got to really watch it out during this particular transit, because you don't want, that's a very disempowering place to go. but you have choices. You have choices. And now that you know better, you're going to be able to do better. And on Saturday, April 27th, we have our final transit for the month of April. And the sun is going to move into the gate 24 and the earth is going to move into the gate 44. So let's go ahead and dive into the sun in the gate 24. So the sun in the 24 is right here in the ajna. We have the head, which is really the crown. It's kind of above the head, right? And then it connects right here to the ajna center. And the 24 is right here. It's the beginning of the knowing circuit. And in traditional human design, it's known as rationalization. And in quantum human design, it's known as blessings. And so the 24, its mate is the 61, which is the gate of wonder. And so it's receiving these breakthrough, leading edge, out of the box, epiphanies, potentials, insights, downloads, and so on that's coming through that knowing circuit. So this is a continuation of energies in the knowing circuit being lit up. In the last transit, we had the 28 lit up, and the one before that, we had the 3 lit up. So there's a lot of energy coming through this knowing circuit, which is fairly typical just because the knowing circuit is so big. But again, we have the invitation to be leaning into our intuition and to be open to the divine guidance that wants to come from the creative intelligence of the universe through that knowing circuit. The reason it's been named rationalization in traditional human design is it's kind of like, what is that information that's coming in? You can almost feel like the influence of the logic circuit, rationalization. Like, is that rational? I mean, the truth is what comes into the knowing circuit is not rational, right? It's not. It's in a different realm. And so when we try to make it fit into things that are more left-brained, can we analyze it? Is it rational? Is it reasonable? Is it strategic? And all that. It doesn't fit, right? And so we tend to be like, well, it's not rational. But that's not, it's more of a blessing. I'm so glad it's been renamed blessings in quantum human design, because what is coming in there are definitely blessings. And so this is a really great time for you to be kind of leaning in. What do you want to have information about? Right? What do you want to say to the flow of life and that creative intelligence of the universe? What do you want to say that you want guidance about? This is a wonderful time for you to be using those generative questions you've probably heard me talk about if you've seen other videos of mine, right? The generative questions like, I wonder how this is going to unfold in my life. I wonder who I need to talk to. I wonder how I need to prepare. I wonder if there's something I need to look at or something I need to understand. I wonder if I need to go somewhere, or if I need to do something. And then depending on your human design type, you're going to see what's showing up in your reality. So if you're a generator, a manifesting generator, what you're going to respond to. If you're a projector, if people are going to be recognizing you or inviting you. If you're a manifester, that you're going to be tuning into those creative impulses that are coming through the motor. If you're a reflector, you're like, wow, what is downloading right now through that gate 44? What's coming in? Paying attention to this and actually seeding it for yourself by asking for that guidance that you want. You do not have to be a passive consumer at all. You totally can be throwing out, if you want to call it prayer, you want to call it intentions. There's different ways that we talk about our way of communicating with spirit. And so use whatever way works for you, and know that during this time, you're going to be receiving blessings from the sun lighting up the gate 24. Then the earth is lighting up the gate 44, which is on the Spleen Center, and it's known as energy in traditional human design, or truth in quantum human design. And the 44 is very much associated with the past. So our memories of the past reside in the gate 44. And the fear of the 44 is the fear of the past. So one of the best ways that you can respond to this energy of the 44 is to be telling the truth about what's happened in the past. When we're younger people, right, especially, 15 and younger, even more 7 and under. But when we're younger people, we have a limited perspective with which to understand what's going on in our lives, right? And so a lot of times, especially when we're really younger, we can think that things that are negative that happen in our lives are our fault. You know, you've probably heard this. You may even have felt it yourself, where like if your parents were, if your parents got divorced, you think it was your fault. You didn't do something right, or you did something wrong, right? This is not an uncommon thing for kids to think, somehow like if I had been different, my parents would have stayed together, right? Probably has nothing to do with you as a kid, but this is the kind of thing that can happen. Or, for example, you may have an abusive parent or an abusive sibling or an abusive relative, right, who told you that it was your fault, that whatever this experience was happening to you. And that got embedded, and then you've kind of been carrying that around with you. It could be kind of subterranean, but it can also come up where you feel like, And so this is an opportunity for you to actually say, wait a minute, let me really take a look at this. Let me be more discerning with my mature point of view. And I can look back at it and I can go, you know what? My brother was actually really abusive to me. He told me it was because of X, Y, or Z, and, he didn't like the way I looked, or he didn't like what I did, or whatever, right? But he was just it wasn't anything to do with me. It had to do with him being a bully because he was bigger than me and he could do that. That's retelling a story, right? It could also be maybe like I have had experiences in my life where I was mean to somebody and I blamed them. I said it was their fault, and I can tell the truth with myself and go, no, I got really activated and I wanted to be in control in that situation. And so I was mean to that person, or, I did something that now at my mature age, I look at that, I wouldn't do it now, but as a kid, I did do it. And then the opportunity is to forgive myself, right? And also to forgive your brother. If your brother was mean to you, forgive the past. Because that's really what enables us to let the past go, is when we can forgive the past and we can, just be like, okay, this is what happened. But we come into right relationship with it so that we can feel empowered in our present with the stories that we're telling ourselves about the past. And this is why it's been renamed truth. Like, what is the truth of the situation? And this is tribal circuitry. So part of it has to do with the truth of how we've been in community, right? So it can be family. The examples I just gave were family, but they can be other examples. Like I have talked to people who were brought into a religion as a young person, and they didn't have choice about it. And they, had to make their peace with the situation that they grew up in, right? And now they can look back at it and have a new perspective on that situation. And so they can tell the truth about that. What was the truth about what was going on in my community at the time? And sometimes there can be a real reaction, like they shouldn't have made me do that. I didn't want to do it. So there can be this really negative judgment. Or there can be a way that we're making everything okay and they were doing the best they can, when it's really like, you know what, that really wasn't okay with me. I want to draw a boundary here and say, no, you know what? No, that was really not okay with me. So whatever your truth is a great thing to journal about. Do some Ho'oponopono. If you know that blessing, it's a Hawaiian blessing, which is about how we really do bless situations and help let them go, and find forgiveness for ourselves and for others. So this is a really great practice to be doing while the earth is lighting up that gate 44, to be grounding yourself in your current understanding about the truth of the past. And then just a final reminder, I'd love to have you come and join me on April 13th and participate in our immersive experience about connecting you with your higher purpose. And it will be recorded, so if you can't attend live, you certainly can come and experience it and participate with the recording. And we will have the community there, so you'll be able to participate with people afterwards as well and share about your experience. I can't wait to see you then. All right. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.